Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gayelle the Caribbean. So hello and welcome everyone. It is Wednesday, 4th of May. It's 6 p.m. in the afternoon. You're on Facebook and you're on YouTube, and this is 5.8G Alive. I am Terri-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus, and as usual with me.
Hi, I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus. Good evening to you all. And Terri-Ann, I want to start by showing off our polos.
We have uniforms.
Connections 50 Plus. We decided to do these polos, and you can also have a polo if you're interested. Let us know.
Yep, it's part of our anniversary celebrations. It's celebrations. And for those of you who were listening to our introduction, you would have noticed that we spoke to Facebook and to YouTube. There's a little change with Gayelle. Our Gayelle viewers, we are being switched to prime time. So from next Monday, we will be on Gayelle at 8 p.m. every Monday night. So we will premiere as usual on Facebook and YouTube at this time with you. And for the Gayelle viewers, Monday nights at 8. So, and there will be a repeat on Wednesday, but we let you all know what time the repeat is. So that's just a little change. So you see, for our anniversary at 3 years, we're going into Gayelle prime time, and we are fancying up with uniform and stuff like that. So, but Jennifer, we've been having a blast this month. I have to say that this beats turning 60 for me. Turning 3 with Connection, top turning 60 for me, and I was excited about 60.
We had so much fun. We are
having
still going, because remember, this was the month of May, the month of April, and during the entire month of April we celebrated. We started with the celebration, and we just tipped a bit into May, which is this week, to have our final. No, I shouldn't say final, but the third of all the three events. So Paramin on Thursday and Friday.
Wish us luck.
really celebrating. So yeah, we have been
a lot of beautiful things are also happening. Another reason that we are so dressed up and pumped is that we made an international debut today. We did a debut, and I mean, I think we can just give a little outline, but we were interviewed by a Canadian TV station about Connections 50 Plus. I don't think we can tell more about that, but viewers, most likely on next week's show, the week after, we will launch our Canadian debut.
And it's very nice because our host has been following Connections 50 Plus, found that she's always today she mentioned how happy she was, and the name Connections 50 Plus, she just loves it, and she thought it would be so nice for us to be on her show, and we found we're international, so yeah, look forward. We're going to be showing that clip soon, maybe the following week.
A special shout out to the Canadians looking at us. So
she's nice, and I hope we will keep connecting and do more shows with her.
Abundant blessings for our 3rd anniversary. Things are fine. Listen, Jennifer, it just goes to show that once you know, once your mind could conceive it, you just put some effort behind it. Get a good team with you, get a partner. Do not try to do it by yourself. That's the problem. Don't give up the whatever the issues and the trust issues and all the issues that you won't have as much fun. It will be much harder, and you'll have so much more work to do. If
you need that balance in so many ways, Terri-Ann. We were saying, I could not have done this alone in terms of planning the anniversary, all these events and the different things. And you know, Terri-Ann says the same thing. And together, you come, you share ideas.
Now, Jennifer, I like to talk. I know I like to talk, but I can't talk by myself for an hour every Wednesday.
Yeah, and it keeps the balance because we have a different audience, and some people love to hear Terri-Ann, some people love to hear me. So we balance
but
it.
Most people love
talk a lot sometimes. Yeah, but it is nice. You need, and I recommend that. I agree with Terri-Ann. Don't try to do it alone. You know? Yeah, and at 50 plus, I think we need that balance too. You need help.
So today, you all would have noticed the theme for today's show. Let's talk to the men and let's make life better. And all of this is coming off of our polling that we did last week.
Listen, I got some calls, Terri-Ann, was very funny. You know, people find you're real brave, you know, to try to bring up that topic. Why you don't just, and this from the woman, from the woman's side, I say, look, just forget these men, you know. But I had the opportunity to talk to a guy who follows us a lot. Thank you, Kester. And I asked, I said, listen, you follow us, you attend our activities, beautiful person. What do you think? Because he was sharing with me, he just came from hanging with some friends. And he said, you know, you have to keep encouraging them and, you know, ask them, talk to them, see what they could, you know, do something that kind of they would be the man in it. But what he said though, and that's why we're onto this topic, is that he really feel men will be happy to come on board if they're encouraged, you know, encourage them a bit. And we thought, listen, let's chat, let's see what we can do, let's share how we feel. And this, let me tell you, how we feel it. We are not psychologists. Terri-Ann, we have to do a disclaimer.
Yeah.
A disclaimer.
You're seeing how I laugh, all right? So prepare yourself.
A disclaimer.
Radical.
I don't want anybody quote me to say Jennifer advised, Jennifer said that. That's a disclaimer. 2, I'm not a man hater at all. So I don't want to hear anything about these women or this woman saying, no, nothing like that. This is just sharing, and we believe in sharing how we feel from our experiences, from chatting with friends, from our own male friends. We have our partners that we really feel in sharing, that those who listen could add to what we are saying, and hopefully the men also could share how they feel, because it's really about expressing yourselves, being honest and open. And as usual on Connections 50 Plus, you know, with Terri-Ann and with me, that we tend to talk and say how we feel and not advise. This is not advising at all. This is giving you food for thought. That's how I put it, right, Terri-Ann?
This is my disclaimer. We have tried and asked the men to please come forward, please speak to us, please. And very few have, very few have. And as we've talked to people, even across this is not a Trini thing or Caribbean thing, this is a global thing. Men are falling off the map in the third act stage. They're falling off the map. We're not seeing them. Last week we said, you know, you go to the parties, you go to the church functions, you go to sporting events, you're not seeing our cohort. You're seeing a younger male cohort and you're seeing women. But women may be living marginally longer than men, but it is not the difference between, not in the rate at which men are not showing up. So because the men, and this is my disclaimer, because the men are not coming forward to speak on their own behalf, to explain to us why they are not there, these two women here, we are going to have a discussion amongst ourselves about what we believe are the reasons for things happening, but we are not just so talking. We are actually linking this back to our lived experiences. And it's not only lived experiences, and both Jennifer and I have interacted professionally, socially, in family with many, many, many men. And we are going to discuss what we observe and make some connections, hypotheses that may explain why the men have fallen off the curve. And I think when you make a statement that is not wrong, but is not exactly right, people don't necessarily respond. But you see, if I make a statement that's wrong, they will respond. So if I make categorical statements that are wrong, I think we'll get a few men to say, hey, wait a minute, you're wrong. So it's going to be that kind of discussion today.
And great, because we want you in on it. Because this is not right or wrong, as you said. This is sharing, and in sharing, of course, we're getting you to come on board with us and let us know, because our next event, and in Terri-Ann, I just say, our next event involved, we always cater for both men and women, but our next event, men, you're coming out after this. Oh, not coming out at all. I don't want to have anything to do with us after this.
I might say, I want to come in if Terri-Ann stayed home.
And to know,
it is all being done with love, and I am getting to the butt base of this. I am a total lover of men, and I really do feel that the absence of men has to do with us women.
Terri-Ann, before
I think
we start,
we are the base. So it's not
before
about
we
men.
start, someone tell me, Terri-Ann, Jennifer, maybe you're two women too strong and intimidating the men. And we say, no, nothing. We only have love for the men. Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You just have love. We want you all men to be happy. Happier.
So yeah, let's get going, Jennifer. And the thing we're saying is, all right, there's a general fall off of the men. And last week when we were discussing this topic, we looked at, all right, why is it that, and we're talking about the third act stage. We are not interested in men in the workplace, or we're not talking about those people. We are talking about the third act stage, 50 plus, especially 60 plus. What is happening post-retirement? And we were talking about women, and we hypothesized, I'm using the word hypothesize because we did not go and do surveys and we are not experts, that the women generally, coming off of something that Dr. Rouse said in her address at our dinner, that the non-communicable diseases are the things that's taken us down in the third stage of life. The diabetes, the hypertension, the cancer, the kidneys, and all those things. Those are not things that can be cured, but they have to be managed if you're going to continue to have a proper quality of life. And essentially, women, when they get these diseases, tend to be more active and proactive in the management of the disease And with that management, they tend to continue with life going forward.
Yeah.
Now that explains why, or it contribute to explaining why women may be continuing to be seen out there, but it doesn't explain why the men are not there. And when I will put my hypothesis forward, Jennifer, so that you could come and recover the shrapnel and you can clean up after 40 minutes. Now, I am looking across a range of people, and when I speak, I am seeing literal people or groups of people in my mind. And I don't think, Jennifer, that men are as proactive as women are in managing their non-communicable diseases or in managing their lives, especially as they get into the 40s and 50s, cutting back and holding back to try and forestall the onset of these diseases. So when they get it, they get hit with it. And the change in habits, the change in lifestyle, the change in diet, exercise and stuff comes when they're at a critical point. So, and because they're not very adept at managing the disease, you find that they have to withdraw from the social circles. And if they withdraw because they're not able, they can't. And I think that that's one part of what may be contributing to our men being absent.
And I agree with that in terms of how men and women handle or manage their various diseases. And I'm looking at one other aspect of that management. Women, and coming from an insurance background, I want to use this example. When we talk about lifespan, we look at family history. We look at things that, okay, family, if the family have a history of the diabetes and all the different illnesses you spoke about. In many cases, the answer would be yes, because it has certain type of illnesses is more prevalent in the woman, the line of women in that family, or the line of men, etc. A woman being aware of that from very early, you talk about early 40s, even earlier than that, would know that and would try as much as possible to avoid getting that. So you'll say things like the breast cancer, things like what you would normally, for instance, and I want to use my example. I have a family of hypertension. My mother had it early, go right back. It is in the family. We have a family with mostly girls. We are aware of that. So from very early, we knew, because my mom always exercised, take her walks all the time, manage what she eats. She will tell us about that. But let me tell you something. I don't recall the same being said to the males in the family, right? Only late in life, we found out that, okay, they may suffer with diabetes, etc. So when you question a woman, she will say, you know what? I am staying off the too much sugar and all that because of that. When you talk to the men, and I'm saying from interviewing and interacting, and you may say about the family history, they will say, girl, what you worrying about that? That's because they didn't do this. We different. They always look and are really generalizing, yeah, but most of the time that is what happens. They will tell you, don't worry, man. So, and you will say, even if, and I can use a case with a very good friend of mine who died about 3 years ago with heart. his entire family, Terri-Ann, all the men, he knew that his father died young from heart, the brother, etc. He knew that, right? And don't care what you say, he will tell you, what you worrying about? I good. I used to play this one, I used to play football. I used to play football, man. I good. I used to this. But continued, because men are not knocking what you will do. I'm just talking the truth here. Would continue with the, nothing wrong with liming with the boys. But you're liming with the boys and you're drinking as much as the boys who don't have that family history.
Or you want as much as you used to drink 20 years ago.
Yeah, you smoke, but you're smoking more cigarettes than you. So everything, now, even if you have to smoke drink, you could do it in moderation, but somewhere along the line, that habit hadn't been developed. So bring forward now to this stage, after all the years of not managing that, or not facing that reality that, hey, if most of the males in my family suffered so, you think I would be the one being left out? You understand? So when you reach this stage, having not ignoring that and having reached this stage now, where by the time you, and again, and I'm talking from my experience with the men in my life, and I don't say men in my life, I'm talking about family and otherwise, is by the time they get the ache and pain, and they get to the doctor, it is an advanced stage. And I'm not a medical, we keep saying this is just us discussing. Terri-Ann, getting them to go to the doctor is another story. For some reason, I don't know if it's in the male genes, I don't know what it is, maybe the experts could say, they're just afraid to go to get the checkup. And by the time they get there, so you're talking about, it normally occurs from 50 plus. Suddenly, like after 50 by 55, we're feeling all the pains and all that. So if it's not managed before, and by that time they go to the doctor after being dragged along by a female,
by a female,
and they're told that, then Terri-Ann, because they haven't prepared their minds from early, they tend to shut down. And when they shut down, some tell you, and I had a friend, I'm telling you, I have many male friends, and I worked in a male-dominated industry, would tell you, well, you know what, at this stage, I give up. Best I don't do anything. If I can't, anyway. They tell you that. If I can't drink, and if I can't smoke, and if I can't eat the cow heel soup, well, I may as well then. What a living. Seriously, you know, seriously. You hear that. So that is where I see the management was. I think it should, and we are talking about the 50 plus who already reached that stage, who are already suffering from it. But with modern medicine and all that, I think with a change of mindset and not focusing on a certain aspect of their life, things could work out. So that this is just in this.
And I think, Jennifer, I think too, and this is again just observation and again, viewers, please feel free to add your comments and so on. I think the transition from the second to the third act is much more difficult for men. And even as men transition, and this is just how society is. Society, and by society, I mean we, the women, we accommodate men staying on that second stage much longer than they physically can perhaps maintain themselves there. And I mean, what is old for a woman, or listen, you can't do that, is just physically. As some people say, you have pot belly, you're bald right back, you're gray, you're physically in a horrible shape, but it's okay. You can still be the front. And that's societal. That's we live in a society that gives men that blind. Look at the media. Look at what is required for women in the media versus what is required for men in the media. You just look at international news. They have some men with some wrinkles and they are horrid. And you cannot imagine a woman in that state of decrepit aging being in front of a camera, being an anchor for a news show. It just won't happen. If we look at the social dating scene, a man can have at any age a young woman on his arm is a trophy. That's an accomplishment. That is fine. She allows him to continue to be young and vibrant. So a lot of our culture that is enabled by women and of course supported, pat on the back by men, gives the mindset to a man that you do not have to come off of the second act stage where you were shining. And in fact, you can stay there and continue with the lifestyle, continue with the activities. There is no need for preparation. And again, you would find many men in the 60s, we're talking 60s, 65. What I preparing to do anything post? I still in my prime doing whatever I was doing before. I don't have to come off of this stage, but as they approach, and of course, there's no management of the early symptoms of non-communicable diseases or anything like that. And even if they're aware that trends are pointing in the wrong direction, the normal maintenance is not done. I'm not letting any doctor put his digits in my rectum to check for no prostate. And not, yes, I hear about the diabetes, but I'm going to drink instead of 3 bottles, 1 for the week. And you just continue with that life because life is to be lived and to be enjoyed. And usually you have a posse of supporting males encouraging you, whether it's a sports group, a lineman group, a card group, a old friend group, and a posse of enabling females that cooking the potter pillow and cooking the salt meat and cooking the thing that's allowing this stuff to happen. And who is complaining is deemed to be boring and a killjoy, and you stay at home, be going online. So I think our culture facilitates and encourages them to stay in a second act mindset and ignore the signs that you need to change, so that when you reach to 65, 70, and the women who have been very proactive, well, they go in and club, you see them in tab, you see them up and down in the church, they in the dance, they everywhere. Where's the man? He home, he have gout. He home, he have diabetes. He home, he have prostate. He home, he have all these things. You know, that may be another issue that's coming up.
I believe also, Terri-Ann, it's easier for the men to say they stay in home and have their partners come and hang with them, or they go by a particular partner and stay, because that way they're inactive, huh? Because if you're really suffering from certain ailments and you have pain, and they will hardly tell their partners that, listen, I don't want to go because I have knee problem or groin problem and all these things. They're keeping it a secret because it's an ego thing. Eh? It's an ego thing. So it's quicker to tell the woman, you go with your woman friend and have fun, but that is more for your woman. That's what we hear all the time, you know, right? But to me, that is an excuse. I'm serious, and I'm speaking from my experience. That is an excuse to not go out and say, well, I prefer sit down with my partners and drink or play cards, something where you don't have to be too active, and where you could sit down and chat about the good old times, or the football game, or the cricket. You're saying right there, let me tell you something, and I am not going to say that. Listen to me, I know about linemen, right? I came out of that kind of industry, and I was married to someone like that. If you go in certain bars on a Friday, if you're going home, it was about 5, and you're going home, and you watch those people there. If you take a photo and you pass back,
Go on here, go
at
by
about
Frankie's.
5, if you pass back about 11 o'clock, in the same
They learn too late, they go home 10
men,
o'clock.
men, I want you to tell me if a line here, seriously, in the same position. And I'm telling you, because sometimes I would listen in depending on my situation at that time, in those days. The topic is the same thing. You know, when you watch some of the foreign news and something spectacular happen, this over and over on the hour, you're hearing that same news. Men are ponging you all in for this particular situation. So then the same spot, you know what is shifting? The bottles. Whether it's the beer or the rum or the, not the glasses, huh? The bottles. Right. So for me though, I put it, Terry, and I know you said goodbye, but I'm speaking here culturally. And the woman, culturally, that's what we leave it alone. Say, you know what? If they want to sit around there and drink until it drop down, that's the business. You see, me, I am going home, or I am going to exercise, because that's all the thing, eh?
Jennifer, for some women, they're happy the men have gone because it gets them out of the hair. You're out. And I'm going to give you a funny story, Jennifer, just to stick in that same behavior. I know of a gentleman who has glaucoma and is going blind. And he is so intent on hiding this. You know what I say? Yeah? You have glaucoma and he's going blind. But he is so intent on maintaining the image of invincibility to his friends and so on, that he continues to make complicated arrangements to go liming with the very friends. Now, and this is a question I'm asking. If your eyesight failing and you didn't tell your friends you have glaucoma, Jennifer, if we liming, I must miss the glass once or twice. They're going to wonder what happened.
But you know, Terry, even in wondering, and that's the difference.
And that is the mindset of you. Some will call it ego, and I call it you're still on the second act stage and you don't want to.
No, and they won't, and I mean, you know, I believe how you look at it is that, I must say this word, is it? There's my friends, this boy, he going down, you know. But we going down, but we need to be there for him, because this is what he will want. So don't show him up.
Carry them to the grave.
Don't show him up. Don't show him up. Don't say nothing to him, you know. So Terry-Ann, even if he can't take the glass, they will keep pushing that glass closer to him. I have seen it. I'm telling you. They would.
Now, women will not do that. Women will say,
no.
What's going on with you? No.
Right.
And the discussion will go towards preventative or helping you.
Right. But that is why in many times they will say they don't want the woman with them, because they will see that and they will say, boy, listen to me. And all your friends will go through the same way. The friends will say, you don't see that he doing X, Y, and Z? You couldn't tell him that? So they look at it, that will be an embarrassment. So we need to get to that place, Terry-Ann, and there's so many other examples, right? But we need both men and women to get to that space of honesty at this stage. Remember, now I am in that bracket. Remember, I just turned 70, so I'm a real expert between the 60 and 70, both the young men and the older ones. But I'm telling you, Terry-Ann, as the men get older, and you did say the 60s going into the 70s, when the next thing that, and I can tell you, when your friends are around you, you realize, hey boy, you are the older generation, you know, and your friends are around you keep dropping. I'm not saying that because they didn't manage your health, but we have so many reasons where we could drop down. I could be walking every day and drop down the next day. But that alone tells you immortality. So you're starting to get a little scared. You don't know what to do. You already have this sort of ego thing that you're still strong. You're shaking inside, but you're still strong. As you always say, Terri-Ann, you're fronting. We need to address that what you would call fronting, that ego. And as women, we also need to be brave enough to address it and to point it out. But point it out is how we have the conversation. Understanding that is not to embarrass, but as we said here, to make life better. And this is where we need to look, how do we have that conversation and both parties with respect, with respect.
Jennifer, before we get into the conversation, I want to put one other thing in the conversation, because we're talking about illness and hiding illness and you won't go to the doctor and all kinds of stuff like that. And I think everybody knows about that. But I have a hypothesis that the crux of the issue is all around the 3-letter word sex.
Yeah.
And this is why. And I have to put on my glasses so that I will say it properly. What are the non-communicable diseases? Diabetes, hypertension, kidney problems. Well, obesity is a contributory factor to all of them, and cancers. And for men, it is prostate cancer. Jennifer, for men, every single one of those renders most impotent.
Yeah.
Every single one of those renders most men impotent. And I think hypothesis again, for most men, is not the, I have diabetes and I have this. It is fundamentally that you cannot perform the sex act as you would have before. You cannot effect vaginal penetration as you would have before. And you don't have the skill set or the bandwidth to understand that sexuality is much more than that. That is the thing that kills the need to live. The other thing is that some of them bring along with it not only impotence, but incontinence. And there's no way I going out with no pamper. Ain't no way I going out and somebody might see a drainage bag. Ain't no way I going out with a colostomy bag. So between the impotence, the incontinence, and the physical adjustments that have to come from these illnesses, I think a lot of our men, especially, let me not mix up the incontinence with the impotence. You see, when that part of the functionality, I didn't say go on, forget it. I say it cannot perform in the way it did before. It's like if when you go out, you don't be on show having sex with anybody, but you just don't want to be out because your confidence is gone, everything is gone. And Jennifer, here again, I wonder if some of our women are able to have the conversations to carry the men through, or is it that we do and we try, but they're so hardwired and they're so, this aspect of their manhood is so dominant that they cannot imagine a life in public without that. So I might as well stay home and continue my suffering.
Or sit down with your boys and
sit down with
and it's not a discussion that I have. Yes, Terri-Ann, as you said that, I remembered our conversation with Onika Henry, the sexologist, who we had our shows, remember? Those who didn't see it, you can go back to our YouTube and look at it. And she gave an example that was really, really great. And about the support the wives or the husbands or the partners in situations like that. Again, Terri-Ann, she did admit, because I remember when we had the show, and again, people were saying, you're already brave, you're bringing a sexologist on, etc., etc. But this is the time, wasn't done before, Terri-Ann. So the knowledge and the support wasn't there in that way. The discussion may have been just in the bedroom, maybe between you and your partner in a very limited way.
You have goodies and you have stoppage of water. That is it.
Right. That was it. So you didn't have this kind of what you call now difficult, emotional type of conversation.
No intimate conversation.
Right. So when we are talking now about making life better for the men, we women, it's both parties have to come together to make the difference. Because yes, I agree with you, women, and the thing about it is that with the advance of medicine and all these different things are so different. You don't even know someone dressed, sitting down there, you don't know the difference at all. You don't know nothing. All right.
Yeah.
So if you have, and men especially, because it is a extremely sensitive topic. I have had conversations like that with very close friends who just shared how they felt, and I, say, well, talk to your partner on it. And they would say, well, I can't, because, and it's always some reason. But the because is we don't know how.
We don't usually talk. We don't usually talk.
That's not something we say that. When, and I remember.
That's when they go to the different bedrooms and you have all kinds of things coming in to give an excuse.
You don't. And I remember in a conversation with one of my friends, and he said, but Jennifer, and I said, what do you always talk about when you're lineman? And he said, nothing about that. Nobody bringing up a topic like that. And because for fear of being ridiculed, for fear that it may get out there, because they say, Chinese talk, if I tell somebody that, and they may take it in a wrong way. But it is.
Oh, they want to keep up the front. They want to keep up the front.
Well, the front is important if you discuss it. So if you have a partner and both of you all discuss your situation, you could still keep up the front, because the partner understand, and we will know, decide, as what Dr. Rao said it in a different context, but in this case, you decide where you could go. Okay? So both of us think, if we go in somebody's bathroom, we have to be very close, or we can't stay for 4 hours. We have to stay for 3, because after 3 hours, the bath might get full. Whatever is the story, whatever situation you have. Or, you have to stay off of sugars. You're not going to go somewhere where it have it's only dessert.
Yeah, alcoholic sugar. Alcoholic sugar.
So you would know the awareness is important. The awareness is important. My very good friend had that problem. You're diabetic and you're hypertensive. But every Saturday, Terri-Ann, he must go to line up early for this big cow heel, not just cow heel soup, no. It's the cow heel, it's the oxtail, is a tree soup. What is it? The tree meat.
Oxtail, the cow heel, and the salt pigtail.
Listen to me. All 3. One alone is detrimental to your health if you have those things. Let me tell you, he would buy a large. Man, if you see it, and you have to go early to line up because it comes hot. So he would bring it now.
Because it's good for the boy. It's good for the back of the boy.
He bring in 2. Big one for him and a small one for me, because he said, you mightn't drink. I said, okay, I said, don't bring it for me. But guess what? You know why he's still buying it? He have extra to go home with, because I'm not touching that, right? And yes, you say support, and I have been over and over. He said he don't know where I'm from, I'm not a Trini, all the different things. I'm pointing out every aspect of that soup. I'm not even seeing the vegetables, and let me tell you,
You better
the
potato
meat
and yam and
float,
that
the things floating, you're seeing the nice grease coming out from the oxtail and the oxtail and the corn wheel grease. You know that is a lot on top there. Plus the salted butter, giving it a nice flavor. Could you imagine it every Saturday? That is a must, right?
But it's one of the boys. And the woman making it and giving it to him.
Unfortunately, he died last year, and I am saying what I remembered, and I'm saying, okay, Jennifer, but guess what? He always say, girl, at the end of the day, I live my life. So how do you help to extend that life? How do you help to make the life better in situations like that? I think it really for serious conversation, but you have to, for me, wear my coach hat, you have to link something onto it. And when I say something, you have to show how your life could be better in a way that they could still have that ego. You understand? We need to have a different kind of conversation, because let me tell you, I am sure you men, when I'm talking about that cow wheel and thing, is hard to say, but she really Trini, she matter what, how I could not have that. You understand? You could have it, huh? But oh gosh, instead of buying a large, buy a small and put some water in it or something.
And some
you understand?
put some carrots.
Put some vegetables in it, some water with some vegetables. You know, they say make the soup a little thinner. Jeez. But yeah, we need to have, because it's a serious thing. It's a serious thing. Because by the time the doctor diagnosed, and it's for women too, by the way, it's a woman who same position. We definitely manage our health issues much better than the men. But there's a conversation we could have, and also Terri-Ann, we could encourage them to take a walk now. Take a walk with you.
I also
buy the sneakers, buy everything, and just take it for them, and no excuse.
I also have another hypothesis why that is not happening. And again, I'm just being myself. I'm just observing and looking on. Very often, when you see a man, a disappeared man, when I say a disappeared man, for me and coming out of some kind of thing like that, and especially when you're seeing his partner out and about, there is a story. And sometimes ladies, you're kind of saying, well, it's my turn now. You sit at home and keep it real quiet. So I think sometimes we have a situation where women tend to be the accommodating party through most of the second act. And even as women transition to the third act, you may end up with a partner who remains on the second act. And during that transition, you can have a lot of friction in a relationship. And I think that is where, you know, you call it all kind of thing. You call it emptiness syndrome. You call it all kinds of things. But it seems as though when the children disappear and when the work is gone, then all of a sudden, the stark differences in your approach to life suddenly come to the fore. But it's not a secret to anyone. You had things that you distracted yourself with children, you distracted yourself with work, you distracted yourself with projects, you distracted yourself renovating the house, you distract yourself with church committees, you distract yourself with all kinds of things. But when those distractions go, and you realize the vast difference in your approach to life, that's why you don't know how to talk about this, because one person may have been quietly seething and vexed because while the other one was, and this could be male or female, I'm not ascribing a rule to this, one person is vexed because I was there carrying the torch while you're doing whatever nonsense you're doing. There are women who are guilty of being the ones doing the nonsense while the men carry on. So now where do we start having that conversation? It is much easier for one partner, typically the woman, to continue taking her medicine and her tablets and go and join her girlfriends and go to the bazaar, go online, go to the tea party, go horticultural society, go on the boat ride, go on the bus ride, go for the weekend in Tobago, go to the show in the bowl, go to the Randy Glasgow show. And the man will pick us up and drop us because he ain't good for nothing else. And you have a lot of people, or wickedest thing of all, you bring the man as a prop to act as security or as dropper. And the poor man sit down in the middle of about 30 women. He ain't too well either because he had to tolerate the whole evening. And it is because you are not having conversations about how your relationships must evolve and what given your physical status does intimacy require. And I come back to, let's go back to those same lifestyle diseases. Diabetes might render you impotent, but there are many women who have no feet, no fingers, no legs. Okay. Hypertension is heart, is all kinds of things. Men, you have a problem with prostate cancer and you may become impotent or incontinent as a result. But how many women do we know are walking around without their breasts? How many women do we know have to adjust to life after having radical hysterectomy? Having lost your uterus, your womb, your ovaries, and the hormonal wave. There are women who get one breast gone and yet come back to remission and then the other one goes. And you have women on dialysis. You know, they have to walk around and the big patches there, they're totally discolored. Their beauty, their skin, their hair, everything just going through. But they continue life. And then you have obesity. What society does to a woman who is obese is well, what they do to a man who is obese is nothing compared to what society does to a woman who is obese. So is it that women are hardwired to take the jamming and continue, and our men just don't have that hardwire? And they decide to just withdraw? You know, it's something we have to consider. And I think men, a lot of men and women, a lot of so-called intimate partners, husband, wife, common law, spouses, don't have the conversation, but both the man and the woman are having intimate conversations about how they feel and what they are doing with their friends. So the woman's girlfriends know everything about what she's going through. The man doesn't have a clue. Some of the man's buddies or one buddy or another woman friend may understand what he's going through, and nobody else. But the people who you live with, who can really help you across, you just don't know how to have that intimate conversation. And both men and women suffering in a bad way and not living their best life.
Terri-Ann, again, we go back. It's definitely the only way to solve that is conversation and respect for the conversation being helped along the lines. Because you said something, but let me tell you, I have many women friends who have gone through the different situations. And out of, let me just briefly say, if we have 4 of them during the real stressful time of either losing their breast or the different sort of, the type of operations, lost their partners. I want to say lost, not out of death, nothing to do with
walk away.
They lost because they walked away. But here the reason they walk away, nothing to do with guilt. The reason is, boy, I don't know how to handle that. I can't handle that type of illness. What she says best I go. But what you want me to do as a man, I must have something. things like that. That is the kind of discussion. That's the kind of talk you will hear them say. I am saying 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. The fifth one is because the husband, when you talk to him, it's because somewhere along the line in his upbringing, he understood the need and he stuck her, right? The woman did nothing wrong. These are women who are very supportive to their partners up until they got ill. And in those illnesses you mentioned is because you cannot do anything about it. To save your life, you have to remove your breast. To save your cervical, you have cervical cancer, you have to take.
You have to, and you have to deal with the hormonal.
Yeah, it takes very long to heal, for years. Sometimes it's not even healing. It's a matter of how you live your life. Onika spoke about those things too. But you can't, some of them, they can't even have the conversation because the man has already left. They moved away. So when they do that, when they themselves have that situation, guess what? They want to die. I had a friend, every time you visit him, Jennifer, I don't know why I'm gonna take me. Why? Because you have to do dialysis. You understand? All your parts, everything good. You think, and dialysis is pretty safe. You could do dialysis for 20 years.
Oh, the diabetes take the erection and life is done and you become a beast.
So I would say the men have to start to understand that they also could be in that position. They are not God, so they don't just die as they get it. And guess what? They expect, most of the men I know, and I'm telling you, I come out from a previous list, I just have a lot of the male friends. Most of them, when you talk to them, Terri-Ann, expect that if they have that, if they're lying down in bed, if they see anything wrong with them, guess what? They expect their partners, whether you're married or not, we just say partners. We talk about 50 plus, right? They expect you not to bring in anybody to touch them, by the way. You are there, and even if they have help, you must pay, they must serve. Why? They never thought they would be like that. My suggestion at this
and
stage,
it's also part of control. Huh?
Yeah, we have now reached this to that stage. I'm talking, I now reach 70, you may now reach 60, you now reach 50. So we weren't there before. When you look back, we weren't taught how to deal with situations like that. All you know with your parents, and there's somebody dead and they're dead. You see the thing I say, Chile, I really realize they don't go anywhere together, so and so always home, or he move out because she miserable, things like that. But the real conversation to keep that relationship going, we didn't have that. We are intelligent enough, we are experienced enough, we went through a whole workforce, we work with many people. Each one of us have friends who have been in some kind of situation, and as Terri-Ann mentioned, would have confided in us as against whoever. The reason being, they may figure they don't have any understanding, they don't know emotionally, they can't deal with the problem. We need to be brave enough. We need to be brave enough to discuss it. That's how we're discussing it here. It's a discussion, we're not giving advice. We share, and I'm telling you, feel free to say, Jennifer, you don't know what you're talking about, but I'm telling you, it's years and years of experience I'm talking about. I could share my own, how many stories I could tell. Those men, a friend of mine who listened was just laughing. There's many, I could tell about many. I could tell you about the rum shop talk, all the different kind of talk. But we need to really see seriously, because all of us at some stage, you can't front again. And when that time comes and you're in that position, you can't expect your partner to just jump. And just as how the men walking away, women will start doing that too if they haven't started. They have started. And we don't want that to happen, because that's bad for the whole family unit. All right.
Well, you see, the thing
so
is,
we need to talk about it.
And we have just about 2 minutes again, and we probably have to talk about this some more. But the main point of today is coming off of last week. We're not seeing the men, and the question is asked, where are the men? Where are the men? And you know, men, it's done. The fronting, we know. Kidney,
Yeah,
my 1, 2, 3 is that because of the lifestyle issue, you have a problem with impotence, and you think life done and you ain't coming out again. Because too much of your ego was hooked onto your virility.
Don't worry, as long as 50 plus, he is nowhere. He is nowhere, is what I'm saying, you know?
You have a continence issue. And thirdly, you're not in the practice of having truly intimate conversations with your partner to be able to continue with life and going out and having fun, no matter what your situation is. So we are saying we've put it out there. We've put it out there. If we miss the mark and we are wrong, jump up and say, no, we're not there because of this, and this. It's not what you all said. If you remain quiet, then we know it's true. And we will continue to discuss this issue to help women to bring out the problem. So
we need, I'm telling you, at this life stage is no time to play games. This is about our health. This is about living a quality life. And this is not about just waiting until when you reach the doctor, you only have 2 or 3 months to go again.
Anyway, we will continue this discussion on another day. Tomorrow, Jennifer, tomorrow we off the Paramin version 1, and then Friday we off the Paramin again. So next week, we're going to talk about Paramin, and then we're going to give you all the buff to get about this conversation that we had.
Don't worry, man, we have something planned to bring you all out and we could chat.
As I said, if we're wrong, come out and say, both of all, you're wrong. Terri-Ann, you're talking nonsense. I will be happy.
Don't tell me that. Listen to me. I'm that telling you. I shared my experience, and it's my experience, and I'm not wrong with my experience. Huh? It's not your own.
And impotence. That's right.
And my darling men outside there, you know, telling the truth.
I love you all to that. So until next week.
Okay, bye.
50 Plus Tribe, and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show.
We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.